if you watch Poor Minds or you watched Poor Minds back in the day and you remember Lex used to talk about this dude named Rapper Bay. Okay, I didn't really like watch them episode by episode, but like I remember her talking about him. I didn't know he had a wife, but anyways, the wife then came out and did the little trend where it's like if Netflix was interview me for a documentary. Yeah, she did that trend. Lame shit. So she was like, she was exposing Lex P for messing with her husband and damaging her and shit like that. But people in the comments was saying that, he was fucking with other bitches, and Lex already talked about it on the podcast. I didn't go watch the episode. I'm not even gonna lie. But my thing is though, like, why are you trying to expose? Oh, girl, the rapper name was Propane. I looked him up. No shade. He was cute. I said, okay, Lex. I don't know why I was expecting Rick Ross, but yeah. She was like, she came out about Lex and Lex only, like, bitch, it's giving you one clout. Like, you should came about that years ago, bitch. Why you want to wait now? Like, I don't even be hearing her even talk about him on the show like that. I mean, I'm still not an active watcher, but I don't really hear her talk about him how she used to talk about him. But it's just like, bitch, you want some clout because if your nigga been cheating on you and been fucking on other bitches and not just Lex, why are you only worried about her? Clout, it's a drug. You bitches got it. Money must be getting a little funny.
Be doing crazy
Because
shit.
I understand where you're coming from. I personally wouldn't do it.
So then I think you should say that instead of being like, I feel like it be okay when women do.
Because it does.
But it really don't, though. It's not okay when nobody do the shit. It's not okay when men do it. It's not okay when women do it. It's not okay when humans do fucked up shit to each other.
So my take on that is both parties, my baby daddy and Lex, they both played their part. And when I say they did their big one, they did their big one. And the reason for me even doing this, because honestly, y'all, I was triggered. I was triggered at the common sense that Lex had to say, like, a man needs to be slapped. But it was the lack of accountability that she had for herself and being an active participant in that situation. That betrayal, y'all, did not just affect me. It affected my entire household. It affected my kids. It affected my mindset. I literally had to operate off of a broken heart. Do you understand me? A broken heart. And for years, I allowed people to call me bitter. I allowed people to call me evil. I allowed people to call me mean. And I never once addressed what betrayal has done to me. I just steady just try to work my way through it, try to boss up from it. But at the end of the day, when somebody in your mind, and when that person is your forever person and you are betrayed by them, it changes your whole outlook on life, on love, on family. And that's what it done to me. I went through therapy, intensive therapy. 1 year I had 3 therapists at one time. Do you understand me? My kids was uprooted from our family home because I could not be in that home no longer without him. So I had to go and buy this house that I'm in now. We are now a divided family from betrayal, from the mindsets of women like Lex P. Not to say this is her mindset now. I'm giving her grace because she probably outgrown from being a participant in that for that long period of time. But I'm saying the mindsets of women, you do not understand that you do not only affect that person's significant other if there are other people involved. Now, it would have been probably easier for me to move on if I didn't have children, if this wasn't their dad and stepdad. But that wasn't the case. A lot of my anger has been towards him, because how could you say you love me? How could you sleep with me every night and knowing that you had a secret relationship with somebody else? How can you always accuse me of cheating? Always accused me of cheating, but you had an active 6-year relationship. Now, I only know all of this information from watching the podcast because I did become a fan of the podcast. Like, they are a wonderful dynamic. Like, they are so entertaining. But as she started giving him a code name called Rapper Bay, I started putting the pieces together. And then that's what gave my confirmation, because me and Lex worked together at a nightclub for 4 years. And in those 4 years, she was dealing with him. Now, I didn't know, but what gave me an inkling was once I left the nightclub industry, I became a business owner. And so I haven't been on the night scene for a while. It was some years. And so I was happy to see Lex when I returned to the nightclub, just a night out. But Lex was still working there. And I seen her and I wanted to embrace her and say, hey girl, how you doing? I screamed her name from across the bar and she stopped like a deer in headlights. And she just stood there frozen. And I turned around and I'm like, Lex, you good? Like, hey. And she just stopped. But then I noticed her eyes pivoted towards this guy who is my baby daddy's cousin. So when her eyes darted directly to him and I followed her eyes, I literally was like, what? I was like, and so when I looked back at her, she still was just like, and at that moment, I was just like, all right, she must have messed with my baby daddy or they must be messing around right now. Hopefully it ain't nothing serious. I never addressed it because I truly hoped that it was just like a one-time thing or it wasn't nothing serious. It wasn't until her podcast that she admitted that they've been doing what they've been doing for 6 years. Mind you, I was with this man for 8 years. So I'm just truly triggered, on the podcast where you can say the consequences for a man doing what he does and leaving the woman with the baggage and he gets to go on and live his life. And then you have no consequences for the woman that played an active role. You are that woman, Lex P, and you don't owe me no apology. It would have been nice because I knew you. We knew each other. We worked together for 4 years. But however, if you're going to use your podcast, don't use it in a way that shadows your wrongdoing because you was wrong. You was wrong. I'm still healing from that because my outlook on love has altered. My mindset has truly changed. My trust level with people is shot, okay? Because a person can know you and still do you wrong. A person can lay with you and love you, still do you wrong. A person can build with you and have a family with you and still do you wrong. So that situation altered me, and I don't care about anybody saying, Toya, well, you need to move on, or Toya, you bitter, or Toya, you, ma'am, listen, that was my person. That was who I stamped as the man of my household, the father of my child, my children, because they saw him my other 2 kids saw him as their dad. And I don't have family. That was all the family I had. I built that family dynamic because it's one thing when I came from a family that I couldn't have. I didn't choose that family. So I don't have family, but the family that I created, that was broken. That was divided by people and they selfish acts. And guess what? People get to go on and have successful podcasts, go on, get to have successful rap careers. And me, I'm dwindling down in my businesses because my mind cannot operate off of the hurt, the pain, the betrayal, the broken heart. And it's like, it's so much came on me. And so for people that just be like, move on, this is not an intentional position or state that a woman that has the livelihoods of many on her hands want to be. But this is where I am. And I can't hide it no more. Imagine grieving somebody and they still alive. Imagine grieving these memories. It's unfair and it's disheartening. And I'm not doing this to bash Lex or my baby daddy because the situation is done. The only person recovering is Toya. But I'm putting this out there for people that have the mindsets of Lex P's or the mindset she had. Y'all, deal with somebody that ain't got no family or deal with somebody that ain't, in a relationship. But do y'all understand, like, the damage control that y'all do? It's unreal. It's unreal. Some people like myself take years to recover because in my mind, in my soul, he was a part of my lifetime. So Y'all don't get to tell people how to move on. Y'all don't get to tell people how to heal. And most of all, being an active participant, you don't get to dish out consequences if you don't have none for your own.
And I'm going to just say this. When I heard Toya come out and speak about what happened that involved Lex P and her baby daddy, I was not one of those people that was like, oh, she better. What am I supposed to do with this situation? She need to go talk to a therapist. I'm one of those people where when a person is, hurting and they're sharing their story, I've never been one to try to shut them down because I feel like when you share your story or you talk about what has happened to you, that is how you heal. So I did open up my ears to hear what this young lady had to say. However, pause. There were a couple of things that stuck out to me that made me turn off from listening to her. Number one, she said that she seen Lex P one night and that when she saw her, she tried to embrace her and Lex P wouldn't even embrace her. The young lady said she knew then that she had possibly been involved with her baby daddy. There was no static for Lex P that night. There was no static. She didn't speak of static with her baby daddy. So that was kind of strike one or red flag number one to me. Number two, as she was talking about the story, she said, I saw this episode and it triggered me. And it just made me feel like, and I'm paraphrasing, she said, it made me feel like everybody that was involved in this situation, they're moving on and they're prospering. And I'm stuck with the pieces and my business is dwindling. Pause. Turn it off. Because at this point, you're not talking about healing. You're upset, but you're not upset because of what your baby daddy did to you. You're upset because Lex P, you feel like Lex P was the other woman and she has the audacity to be doing well in life. And you feel like you're supposed to be where she is, thriving, prospering, blessed. What I also didn't like was that when Lex P finally addressed the situation, Lex P said, hey, I was unaware that this situation was going on. I had to go to therapy. Things were done to me too. I am praying for your healing. Very cute, very demure, very mature. Toya comes back and she says, now she's saying she don't know. And I'm pretty sure he took you through some stuff. But what were you expecting? You was just about to cry as if y'all just broke up yesterday. This happened 4 years ago. And it's not to invalidate what you went through, but you're not going to sit here and invalidate her as well. A lot of you females move weird behind men, and that concerns me because even if you felt like Lex P knew, and Lex P did actually lead a man alone, do you honestly think he was going to stay with you? If y'all were meant to be together, y'all would be together, but y'all are not because that's not your person. And we need to stop idolizing this idea of this is my person because that helps y'all to accept disrespectful behavior. I'm just being real. I also didn't like how you were trying to make Lex P responsible for something your baby daddy did. Your baby daddy, not your husband, but baby daddy. You wouldn't even acknowledge him as your ex. Your baby daddy left you, not Lex P. And I hate when women, again, move weird about a man. Y'all have all this static and issue and drama for the woman because you feel like, oh, she's a willing participant. You don't know what that man was telling that girl. And then you led your entire story with he had a secret affair for 6 years. It was a secret. So, yeah, I do believe that Lex did not know. I like Lex P. I have seen her clips in passing, and she's a very funny girl. And you can tell she shared in some clips that she has gone through a lot to get to where she is today. And while I don't agree with the whole, messing with men who are in relationships, I'm not going to sit here and invalidate and demonize Lex P either because the situation was messed up on both sides. Y'all act like these men do not lie. Y'all act like these men do not play both sides. And then instead of you giving that man the problem, you go for the woman. I don't like it and I don't respect it. And then come to find out, this ain't even about what happened to you.
the issue is something messed up happened to you and you feel like Lex P, not your baby daddy, but you feel like Lex P is supposed to be balled up in the corner struggling because that's what you're doing. You could have just reached out to her and asked her for a loan or something if your business was doing bad. But you see how that worked? You can't go to your baby daddy because your business messed up, even though you carried his seed. But you're coming at Lex P, who don't owe you anything. And if I were her, I probably wouldn't even address you, because the issue is never the other woman. The issue is always the man. And if both of y'all have left him alone, why are you choosing now, after Lex P is thriving, blessed, living her best life? Why are you choosing to address it now? I'll tell you why. Because your business is struggling. Praying for all parties involved, but don't do that.